The legend whispered in darkness. The conference hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Ambassador Zekthor limped to the podium. His blue scales were scarred, his left arm missing. The gathered aliens had never seen the proud warrior look so broken there. "Real," he whispered into the microphone. The crowd erupted. Laughter. Disbelief. Some delegates threw their data pads in. "Mockery. The humans are real," Zekthor repeated. Louder this time. For 300 years, humans had been nothing but stories. Bedtime tales that Krellian mothers told their children. Legends that young Vaxian soldiers shared around campfires. Everyone in the galaxy knew the stories. Everyone thought they were fiction. The tales spoke of a species from a death world called Earth, a planet so violent that it tried to kill its own children every single day. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, predators with teeth like knives, diseases that could wipe out millions. Yet somehow humans survived. More than survived. They thrived. According to legend, humans were pack hunters who never gave up. They could run forever, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They healed from wounds that would kill other species. They were creative, stubborn, and absolutely insane. They jumped out of flying vehicles for fun. They climbed mountains because they were there. They ate plants that burned their mouths and called it spicy. But that was all myth, fiction, entertainment. At least, that's what everyone believed until 6 months ago. Commander Vexala of the Krellian Empire stood up in the back of the hall. Her red uniform was crisp, her posture perfect. She commanded the largest fleet in the known galaxy, 17,000 warships, millions of soldiers. She had conquered 40 star systems without breaking a sweat. "Ambassador Zekthor," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "You expect us to believe that mythical creatures destroyed your fleet. Perhaps you should retire. Your mind has clearly gone soft." Zekthor's good hand trembled as he held up a data chip. "I have proof, video, sensor logs, testimonies from survivors. We went to the Forbidden Zone. We found their world, and they followed us back. The Forbidden Zone, Sector 001, the dark corner of the galaxy that every ship avoided. It was marked on every star chart with warnings in a dozen languages. Do not enter, navigation hazard, ships lost. Officially, it was a region of unstable space-time. Dead zones where sensors failed and ships vanished. But the old story said something else. They said it was where the humans lived, hiding, waiting. Why would you go there?" asked Minister Calrose of the Vaxian Federation. Her tentacles twisted nervously. Zekthor's eyes grew dark. "Resources. The Outer Rim detected energy signatures, massive deposits of Element X, enough to power our civilization for 1,000 years. The Council gave us permission to explore. They said the myths were just myths. They said we'd be safe." He pressed a button. The lights dimmed. A holographic screen appeared above the podium. The video started peacefully. Zekthor's exploration fleet, 300 ships, entering a beautiful star system. A yellow sun. 8 planets. The third one was blue and green, covered in water and land. Sensors showed it was perfect for life. Temperature just right. Atmosphere breathable. Gravity comfortable. "We detected structures on the surface," Zekthor narrated. "Cities, roads, lights on the night side, but no ships, no defense platforms, no communication. We thought the planet was abandoned, some ancient civilization that died out." The fleet moved closer. They deployed mining drones to the asteroid belt. They sent survey teams to the planet's moons. Everything seemed fine. Then the alarm started. On the video, a junior officer shouted, "Commander! Multiple contacts!" "They just appeared on sensors. How is that possible? Where did they come from?" Zekthor's recorded voice demanded. "I don't know, sir. They weren't there a second ago, and now, oh gods, there are hundreds of them." The camera view switched to external sensors. What they showed made the entire council chamber gasp. Ships, warships, emerging from nowhere like ghosts, becoming solid. They were smaller than Krellian dreadnoughts, but there were so many. And they moved wrong. Too fast, too agile. They didn't follow normal physics. "We tried to communicate," Zekthor said quietly. "We broadcasted on every frequency. We explained we meant no harm. We even offered to leave immediately." The video showed a response coming through. But it wasn't words. It was a sound. A deep, rhythmic boom, 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 like a drum, like a heartbeat, then a voice, speaking in perfect galactic common. You have entered Terran space without permission. You have deployed military assets near our homeworld. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and surrender. This is your only warning, Terran. The old word for human in the ancient texts. On the video, Zekthor made a fatal mistake. He laughed. Terran, the mythical humans, show yourselves. Stop hiding behind the transmission cut off. And hell arrived. The human ships opened fire, but not with plasma cannons or laser batteries like normal civilizations. They used something else. Missiles that moved faster than sensors could track. Projectile weapons that punched through shields like they didn't exist. Energy beams that cut ships in half. But worse than the weapons was the way they fought. The human ships moved like a pack of predators. They coordinated perfectly. They anticipated every move. When Krellian ships tried to retreat, the humans were already waiting. When they tried to fight, the humans danced around them. The video showed 300 proud Krellian warships being torn apart in less than an hour. Explosions lit up the darkness. Hulls cracked open. Escape pods launched desperately, and through it all that sound. Boom, 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 boom. The human heartbeat transmitted on every channel. A reminder that they were being hunted by something that never stopped. Only 47 ships escaped, Zekthor said, including mine. And do you know why they let us go? The council chamber was silent. Every eye was on the ambassador, because they wanted us to deliver a message. Zekthor's voice cracked. They said, tell the galaxy that humanity is not a myth. Tell them we have been watching. Tell them we remember what happened 300 years ago. Tell them if they ever come to our borders again, we will not show mercy a second time. The hologram flickered and changed. It showed a single human ship, larger than the others, sleek, deadly, beautiful in a terrifying way. And on its hull, painted in letters that glowed with their own light, were words in the ancient human language. Remember Earth, remember the fallen, never forgive. Commander Vexala stood frozen. Her confident smile was gone. What? What happened 300 years ago? Zekthor pulled up another image. An old document, faded, nearly forgotten. It was a council resolution from 2724. Resolution 4419. The planet designated Earth 001 has been deemed a threat to galactic peace. The species known as humans show dangerous tendencies toward aggression and rapid technological advancement. For the safety of all civilized worlds, the Council authorizes a preemptive strike. The document continued, but nobody needed to read more. The realization hit the chamber like a shockwave. 300 years ago, the Galactic Council had tried to destroy humanity. They had sent a massive fleet to Earth, 10,000 ships. The order was complete extermination, but the fleet never came back. It vanished without a trace. And after that, Sector 01 became the forbidden zone. Ships that entered never returned. Sensors failed. Probes went silent. Everyone assumed the fleet succeeded and died in some accident afterward. Everyone assumed the humans were extinct. The stories became legends. The legends became myths. And the galaxy forgot. But the humans hadn't forgotten. They had been in Sector 01 all along, rebuilding, growing stronger, watching the galaxy that tried to murder them, waiting, and now Zekthor had led them back. How long before they reach our borders? Asked Minister Calrose, her voice shaking. Zekthor looked at her with empty eyes. They're already here. At that exact moment, every screen in the council chamber flickered. Every communication device buzzed. Every hologram changed to show the same thing, a human. The first one any of them had seen in person. She wore a dark military uniform covered in symbols. Her skin was brown. Her hair was black and pulled back tight. Her eyes were the scariest thing. They weren't cruel or angry. They were just determined, focused, like a predator looking at prey. Greetings, Galactic Council, the human said, her voice calm. My name is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. You tried to kill us once. You failed. Now we've decided it's time to introduce ourselves properly. Behind her, through a viewport, the Council could see ships, thousands of ships, surrounding the Council station. We're not here for war, Admiral Chen continued. Not yet. We're here to make something very clear. Humanity is not a myth. We are real. We are powerful. and we will never let you threaten us again." She leaned forward, and her next words were delivered with absolute certainty. "The age of legends is over. The age of humanity has begun, and you're going to learn what it means to wake up a sleeping predator." The transmission ended. The screens went dark, and the Galactic Council realized that everything was about to change. The sleeping giant awakens. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the TDFS Indomitable, watching the alien council station through the viewport. Around her, 2,000 Terran warships held position in perfect formation. Not threatening, not yet, just present. "Admiral," said Commander Jackson at the tactical station, "we're receiving 347 communication requests. Every species in the council wants to talk." Sarah smiled without warmth. "Let them wait. Our ancestors waited 300 years for justice. They can wait a few hours." On Earth, in the underground cities that humanity had built after the first attack, people gathered around screens. 3 billion humans watching their military finally reveal themselves to the galaxy that tried to exterminate them. Old veterans wept. Young children asked if the scary aliens were going to hurt them. Parents said, "Not anymore, sweetie. Not anymore." Back on the council station, chaos erupted. Commander Vexala was screaming orders into her communicator. "Get my fleet here now! I want every warship we have surrounding this station." Minister Calrose grabbed her arm. "Are you insane? They have us surrounded. If we bring our fleets here, it'll look like we're starting a war." "They started it by coming here." Vexala roared. Ambassador Zekthor, still at the podium, laughed bitterly. "No, Commander. We started it 300 years ago. They're just finishing it." The station's director, a floating jellyfish-like creature named Polmex, activated the emergency protocols. Shields raised, defense platforms powered up. It was pathetic compared to the human fleet, but it was something. "This is illegal," shouted Senator Crexon of the Vaxian Federation. "They can't just show up in council space. We have laws, treaties." Zekthor turned to face him. "We sent 10,000 ships to exterminate their species. We broke every law first." Down in the station's archives, a young researcher named Tixley was frantically searching through old databases. Her fingers flew across holographic keyboards as she dug deeper into history. The files about humanity had been sealed, classified, hidden. She found the mission reports from 300 years ago. Her eyes widened as she read Operation Silent Sky. Objective: complete extermination of human species. Reason: deemed too dangerous to coexist with galactic civilization. Fleet: 10,000 warships. Status: missing, all ships lost. But there was more. Video logs from the attack fleet's final transmissions. Tixley played the first one. It showed a proud Krellian admiral standing on his bridge. "We have arrived at the human homeworld. The planet is heavily populated, approximately 8 billion life forms. They have primitive spacecraft and basic weapons. This will be over quickly." The next log, 2 hours later. The same admiral, now looking confused. "The humans are fighting back more effectively than expected. Their weapons are crude but surprisingly effective. We've lost 600 ships. Adjusting strategy." Another log, 6 hours later. The admiral's bridge was on fire. Crew members ran in panic behind him. "How are they doing this?" "They're using nuclear weapons." "Nuclear weapons!" What kind of species uses nukes in space combat? "They're insane. They're ramming our ships with their own." The transmission cut to static. The final log was from a single escape pod. A young Krellian soldier, barely an adult, crying. "They're all gone. All 10,000 ships. The humans. They didn't just fight back. They won." And before our admiral died, he received a message from the human commander. Just 3 words: "Never come back." Tixley realized she was shaking. The galaxy had tried to commit genocide. And somehow, impossibly, the humans had survived, had won, and then disappeared. She looked at the dates. After the failed attack, there had been dozens of exploration missions sent to the Forbidden Zone. None returned. The Council eventually declared the region off limits. The official story was navigation hazards. The truth was simpler. The humans were hunting anyone who came close. Back on the Indomitable, Sarah Chen was reading similar reports. Files that human intelligence had stolen from Council databases over the years. She saw the orders for her species extermination, saw the cold, bureaucratic language that had condemned 8 billion people to death. "Ma'am," said Lieutenant Kim at communications. "We're receiving a direct transmission from someone claiming to be the Council Archon." "Put it through." The screen flickered. A tall, crystalline being appeared. Its body was translucent, with light pulsing through it like a heartbeat. Archon Velmar had led the Galactic Council for 200 years. It was ancient, powerful, and terrified. "Admiral Chen," Velmar said carefully, "I believe there has been a misunderstanding." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Really, which part? The part where you sent 10,000 ships to exterminate my species? Or the part where you covered it up and pretended we were myths?" "That was a different council, different leadership. I was not yet Archon when those decisions were made." "But you knew about it," Sarah said flatly. "You found the classified files. You read the reports. And you did nothing." Velmar's light flickered uncertainly. "What would you have us do? Confess to an attempted genocide? Admit that we tried to murder an entire species because we were afraid of them? The galaxy would have torn itself apart. So you chose silence. You chose to let everyone forget." "Yes," Velmar admitted. "And I would make the same choice again. Sometimes peace requires uncomfortable truths to stay buried." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes hard. "Then let me share some uncomfortable truths with you, Archon. For 300 years my people have lived underground, in bunkers, in caves, never seeing the sun because we were afraid you'd send another fleet. We've had children who grew up never knowing what real sky looked like. We've had entire generations living in fear. But you survived," Velmar said. "You clearly rebuilt your military. Your technology is impressive. You're strong now." "Strong?" Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think we wanted this? You think we wanted to turn our entire civilization into a military fortress? We were artists, scientists, dreamers. And you turned us into soldiers because that was the only way to survive." She stood up, walking closer to the screen. "My grandmother was 12 years old when your fleet attacked. She watched your ships glass entire cities from orbit. She watched her parents die in nuclear fire. Do you know what her last words to me were before she died? Make them remember. Make them pay." Velmar's light dimmed. "What do you want, Admiral? Revenge? Should we brace for war?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer but no less dangerous. "We don't want war, Archon. We want justice. We want the truth told. We want every species in this galaxy to know what happened. We want an apology, reparations, and most importantly, we want a guarantee that it will never happen again. And if we refuse, then you'll find out exactly how powerful humanity has become." Sarah's smile was predatory. "You attacked us with 10,000 ships and we destroyed them all. Do you really want to find out what we've built in 300 years? Before Velmar could respond, alarms blared on the Indomitable. "Admiral!" Commander Jackson shouted, Krellian fleet emerging from hyperspace. 17,000 ships. They're taking up attack positions." On the view screen, Commander Vexala's face appeared, pushing Archon Velmar aside. "Human, your threats end now. I don't care what myths say about your species. I have the largest fleet in the galaxy. Surrender immediately or what?" Sarah interrupted calmly. "You'll attack, please do. I could use a demonstration." Vexala blinked, clearly not expecting that response. "You're bluffing. You only have 2,000 ships." "I have 17,000. Sarah turned to her crew. "Lieutenant Kim, please send Commander Vexala our fleet roster. The complete one, a data packet transmitted." On the council station, Vexala's face went from confident to confused to absolutely pale. This can't be right," she whispered. Sarah's smile widened. "Oh, it's very right. You're looking at 2,000 ships. Would you like to see the other 98,000? The number hit the council chamber like a physical blow. Delegates gasped. Some fainted. Others began praying to their various gods. "That's impossible," Vexala said weakly. "No civilization has ever built 100,000 warships. The resources alone would be—" "We had 300 years, Sarah interrupted. 300 years of building, preparing, waiting. Did you really think we'd just hide forever? Did you think we'd forgive?" She gestured, and her tactical officer pressed a button. Throughout the galaxy, human ships began decloaking. Around every major world, every trade route, every military station. They'd been there for months, invisible, watching. The galaxy's entire defense network suddenly realized they were already surrounded. "This is our declaration," Sarah announced, her voice broadcast to every screen in council space. Humanity is no longer hiding. We are no longer myths. We are real, we are powerful, and we demand our place in this galaxy. Not as your victims, not as your cautionary tale, as your equals. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. In 72 hours, the Terran Federation will formally petition for membership in the Galactic Council. You will accept. You will acknowledge what you did. You will make amends, or... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. 100,000 warships spoke louder than words. Commander Vex'ala tried one last time. And if we fight? If all the Council species unite against you? Sarah's expression became sad, almost pitying. Then we'll show you what a real war looks like. But I hope it doesn't come to that, because humans don't want to be conquerors. We just want to be free. She cut the transmission, leaving the galaxy to contemplate impossible choices. On Earth, in the underground cities, people celebrated. After 3 centuries of hiding, they were finally standing in the light. But in the shadows of the Indomitable's corridors, Sarah Chen allowed herself a moment of doubt. She just threatened the entire galaxy, started a confrontation that could end in billions of deaths. Was she doing the right thing? Then she remembered her grandmother's face, scarred by radiation burns from that long-ago attack. Remembered the stories of those who died. Remembered the generations who never saw the sun. No, this was right. This was necessary. The galaxy had tried to kill humanity. Now humanity was going to teach them what it meant to survive. Ghosts of the past council. Headquarters became a fortress overnight. Every species sent their military fleets. The Vaxian Federation's bioships gathered like a swarm of angry insects. The Krellian Empire's dreadnoughts formed a wall of metal and guns. Even the peaceful Selkath brought their ancient defense platforms out of storage. But everyone knew it was theater. 100,000 human ships, invisible until they chose to appear, changed everything. In his private chambers, Archon Velmar reviewed the old files that Tixley had discovered. The young researcher stood nervously beside his desk, her tentacles twisted in anxiety. "You should not have found these," Velmar said quietly. "These files were sealed for good reasons." "People deserve to know the truth," Tixley replied, trying to sound brave. "Truth?" Velmar's crystalline body pulsed with dark colors. "Let me tell you about truth, child. 300 years ago, I was a junior council member. I voted against Operation Silent Sky. I argued that humanity deserved a chance. Do you know what happened?" Tixley shook her head. "I was overruled. The majority decided that humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable. They evolved on a death world, you see, a planet so hostile that only the strongest, smartest, most adaptable creatures survived. The Council looked at human history and saw endless warfare. Nuclear weapons used against their own kind, biological warfare, chemical warfare. And they were advancing so fast. Too fast." Velmar pulled up a hologram showing Earth's technological progress. In just 10,000 years, humans went from stone tools to spaceflight. Do you understand how terrifying that is? Most species take 100,000 years. Some take 1,000,000, but humans, they learned and grew and changed at impossible speed. So the Council decided to kill them all? Tixley's voice was horrified. "The Council decided to remove a threat," Velmar corrected. "Or so they thought. But they underestimated human resilience, human creativity, human refusal to die." He pulled up the attack footage. Tixley watched in horrified fascination as the human defenders threw everything they had at the Council fleet. Nuclear missiles, kinetic projectiles, ships used as weapons themselves, ramming into dreadnoughts at relativistic speeds. "They shouldn't have won," Velmar said. "By every calculation, they should have been destroyed in hours. But humans don't follow calculations. They fight with their hearts, not just their heads. And they never, ever give up." On the Indomitable, Sarah was having a similar conversation with her senior staff. They gathered in the war room, a circular chamber with star charts projected on every surface. "Some of the crew are worried," said Commander Jackson. "They think we're pushing too hard, that we'll start a war we can't win." "Can't win?" Sarah raised an eyebrow. "We have 100,000 warships, advanced stealth technology, weapons 3 generations ahead of anything the Council has. How exactly would we lose?" "Numbers," said Chief Engineer Rodriguez. "There are 4,000 species in the Galactic Council, trillions of people. Even if we win every battle, they can replace losses faster than we can. Sarah nodded slowly. You're right. Which is why we're not trying to conquer anyone. We're trying to make them listen. She pulled up a map of the galaxy. For 300 years, we've been gathering intelligence, stealing data, hacking systems. We know everything about the Council species, their strengths, weaknesses, alliances, conflicts. And do you know what we've learned? Her officers waited. They're not unified. They hate each other. The Krellians and Vaxians almost went to war 15 times in the last century. The Selkath don't trust anyone. The smaller species resent being pushed around by the big ones. The Council isn't a single enemy. It's 4,000 species barely holding together. So we divide them, Jackson said, understanding. We don't need to. They're already divided. We just need to show them that humans aren't the threat the old Council said we were. We need allies, not enemies, Lieutenant Kim spoke up. Ma'am, we're receiving another transmission. This one's different. It's from the Selkath homeworld. They're requesting a private communication. Sarah smiled. See? It's starting. The Selkath were amphibious beings, evolved from aquatic predators. They were one of the oldest species in the Council, known for wisdom and neutrality. When Elder Kesmora appeared on the screen, Sarah bowed respectfully. Admiral Chen, the Elder said, its translator rendering its waterborne speech into English. My people have reviewed the historical records. We were not part of the Council when the attack on Earth was ordered. In fact, we had not yet discovered space travel. But we wish you to know that we find what was done horrifying. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. She hadn't expected sympathy. Thank you, Elder. That means more than you know. We also wish to extend an invitation. Come to Selkath Prime, meet with our people. Let us begin a dialogue. Not all species in the Council supported what happened. Many of us didn't even know it was a risk. Sarah would have to leave her fleet, travel to an alien world, trust beings she'd never met. But it was also an opportunity. I accept, she said. Commander Vexala, watching from the Council station, nearly threw her data pad across the room. They're going to turn species against us. We need to act now. Full military strike before they can build alliances. But Archon Velmar raised a crystalline hand. No, violence is what started this. Violence is what they expect. We need a different approach. What approach? Vexala demanded. They're threatening us. They're demanding justice, Velmar corrected. There's a difference. And perhaps they deserve it. The words created a shockwave through the Council. Half the delegates supported Velmar. Half supported Vexala. The United Front was already cracking. In Earth's underground cities, people watched the news with mixed emotions. Some wanted revenge. Others wanted peace. All wanted safety. An old man named David Chen, Sarah's grandfather, sat in his apartment watching his granddaughter negotiate with aliens. He remembered the attack, remembered hiding in subway tunnels while the world burned above, remembered finding his wife's body in the rubble. Is this right? His daughter asked, sitting beside him. All this military buildup? The threats? Are we becoming what they feared? David was quiet for a long time. We're becoming survivors. That's all we ever wanted to be. Just survivors. But at what cost? If we start a war— They started the war. David interrupted, his voice hard. 300 years ago. We're just finishing it. The question isn't whether we're right. The question is whether we're strong enough to survive being right. Meanwhile, in the Krellian Empire's capital, Commander Vexala met with her generals. They were planning something. Something desperate. We can't fight their entire fleet, one general admitted. But we don't need to. We just need to cut off the head. Vexala smiled coldly. The Admiral is leaving her fleet to meet with the Selkath. That's when we strike, kill her, blame it on pirates or terrorists. Without their leader, the humans will be lost. And if it doesn't work, if they retaliate, then we fight. And we hope the rest of the Council stands with us. It was a terrible plan, a desperate plan. But Vexala saw no other choice. The humans had humiliated her, had shown her fleet to be weak. She couldn't let that stand. High above Earth, hidden behind cloaking fields, human spy satellites detected the Krellian military movements. Intercepted communications, decoded messages. They knew an attack was coming, and they were ready. Sarah Chen boarded a small diplomatic shuttle for her trip to Selkath Prime. Only 10 people accompanied her, a tiny vessel compared to the warships around it. "You're sure about this?" Commander Jackson asked one last time. Sarah smiled. "No, but someone has to take the first step. Might as well be me." The shuttle left the Indomitable, began its journey toward Selkath space. It looked vulnerable, defenseless. It was neither. Hidden by stealth fields, 20 human destroyers followed at a distance, and every weapon on the Indomitable was locked onto Commander Vexala's flagship. If anything happened to Sarah, the retaliation would be instant and overwhelming. As Sarah's shuttle jumped to faster-than-light travel, she thought about her grandmother, about all the humans who died in the attack, about the generations who grew up in darkness. "We're not doing this for revenge," she whispered to herself. "We're doing this so no one ever has to hide again." But in the dark spaces between stars, Krellian warships were moving. Assassins were being deployed. Weapons were being armed. The galaxy was holding its breath, and humanity was about to show everyone what happened when you backed a predator into a corner. The peaceful approach was working, which meant someone was going to try violence, and when they did, the Terran Defense Fleet would remind the galaxy why you should never, ever threaten a human's family. The Predator's Gambit Sarah's shuttle emerged from faster-than-light travel near Selkath Prime. The planet was beautiful, mostly ocean, with floating cities that glowed like jewels on the water. 3 moons hung in the sky, and the system's twin suns painted everything in shades of gold and amber. "It's stunning," breathed Lieutenant Morrison, Sarah's security chief. "Stay focused," Sarah replied. "Beauty can hide danger." Her words proved prophetic 3 seconds later, when alarms screamed through the shuttle. Multiple hostile contacts. The pilot shouted, "Krellian warships decloaking. 6 destroyers, 3 cruisers." The Krellian ships opened fire immediately. Plasma bolts lit up space like angry fireflies. Sarah's small diplomatic shuttle shouldn't have stood a chance, but humans don't die easily. "Evasive maneuvers," Sarah commanded. "Get us into Selkath orbital space. They won't fire on us there." The shuttle jinked left, then right, its human-designed engines allowing impossible turns. Plasma bolts passed so close they heated the hull. Warning lights flashed red, then the Krellian ships suddenly exploded, all 9 of them. Simultaneous detonations that turned warships into expanding clouds of debris. On the shuttle's view screen, 20 human destroyers decloaked, their weapons still glowing from the firing. "Overwatch to Diplomat 1, a calm voice said. "Sorry for being late to the party, Admiral. We were following at maximum stealth. Didn't want to blow our cover until necessary." Sarah let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Excellent timing, Overwatch." "Stand by for Admiral," the pilot interrupted. "We're being hailed by the Selkath Defense Fleet. They're demanding to know what just happened." Sarah straightened her uniform. "Put them through." Time to do some diplomacy, but across the galaxy, Commander Vexala was screaming in rage on her flagship's bridge. How did they know?" "The attack fleet is destroyed," her tactical officer reported. "All ships lost. The humans were waiting for us." "Impossible!" The mission was classified. Only 5 people knew the plan. She stopped, looked around her bridge, and her trusted officers, her loyal crew, and realized something terrifying. Humans had been watching the galaxy for 300 years, learning, spying. They'd had centuries to plant bugs, hack systems, turn informants. The Krellian Empire's communications weren't secure. They'd never been secure. Everything Vexala had said, every order she'd given, the humans had heard. "Contact our fleet," she said quietly. "Tell them to stand down. Cancel all offensive operations." "Ma'am, that's an order. If the humans wanted war, they would have destroyed us already." "This is a message. They're saying, we know everything you do. We see everything you plan. Don't test us." On Selkath Prime, Elder Kesmora watched the destroyed Krellian ships floating in orbit. The old amphibian's expression was unreadable. "The Krellians attacked a diplomatic mission," Kesmora said slowly. "This is an act of war, but you destroyed their ships in our space. This could be considered a violation of our sovereignty." Sarah chose her words carefully. "Elder, we detected the attack fleet 3 days ago. We could have destroyed them before they reached your system, but we wanted you to see the truth. The Krellians don't want peace. They want humanity gone, no matter the cost. Even if it means attacking us in neutral space. Even if it means making you witnesses to murder." Kesmora was silent for a long moment. You used us. We trusted you, Sarah corrected. We could have held this meeting in deep space, somewhere safe, but we came here, to your homeworld, because we wanted to show good faith. And yes, we knew there was a risk, but we calculated that you would see the Krellian attack for what it was, desperation. The Elder's gills fluttered, a sign of deep thought in Selkath physiology. You are either very brave or very foolish, Admiral Chen. My grandmother always said those two things were the same, Sarah replied with a slight smile. Kesmora's translator made a sound that might have been laughter. Perhaps she was wise. Very well, you have your meeting. But I warn you, what you've started here will have consequences far beyond this system. Sarah nodded. I'm counting on it. Within hours, news of the Krellian attack spread across the galaxy. The footage was everywhere. A diplomatic shuttle, clearly marked with peaceful intent, ambushed by military warships. And then the swift, brutal human retaliation. Public opinion shifted like a tide. On the Vaxian homeworld, protests erupted. Citizens who had supported military action against the humans now questioned their leaders. They came in peace, the protesters chanted. The Krellians attacked first. In the Galactic Council chambers, Archon Velmar called an emergency session. Commander Vexala stood alone in the center of the circular room, surrounded by thousands of angry delegates. You have violated every law we hold sacred, Senator Krexon accused. Attacking a diplomatic mission. In neutral space. This is barbarism. I was protecting the Council. Vexala shot back. The humans are a threat. They have 100,000 warships. They could destroy us all. Then perhaps we should ask ourselves why they built those ships, said a new voice. Everyone turned. Ambassador Zekthor had returned to the podium, his missing arm now replaced with a cybernetic prosthetic. He looked different, stronger somehow, more determined. I've spent the last 3 days reviewing every file we have on humanity, Zekthor continued. Not the propaganda, not the myths, the real history. And I've learned something important. Humans don't start fights, but they finish them. He pulled up a hologram showing Earth's history. Look at their past. Yes, they fought wars, terrible wars. But do you know what happened after each one? They rebuilt. They created art, music, culture. They sent probes into space with messages of peace. They dreamed of meeting alien species not as enemies, but as friends. The hologram shifted to show the first contact scenario that never happened. Human scientists had prepared welcome messages in hundreds of languages. Children had drawn pictures to send to the stars. There had been hope, wonder, excitement. We took that from them, Zekthor said quietly. We came to their world not with open hands, but with weapons. We tried to exterminate them for the crime of being different, of being strong, of being survivors. He turned to face Vexala directly. And when they fought back, when they somehow impossibly defeated our fleet, did they chase us? Did they hunt down our colonies? Did they rain destruction on our worlds? Vexala was silent. No, Zekthor answered. They withdrew, they hid. They built defenses and waited to see if we would come again. For 300 years they waited, watching, hoping we would forget, hoping they could live in peace. He gestured at the viewing screen showing the human fleet. Those ships, that military, they didn't build it because they wanted to conquer. They built it because they were terrified, because we taught them that the galaxy was full of monsters who would kill them without mercy. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some delegates agreed. Others shouted Zekthor down. The unity was shattering. And on Earth, people were watching and weeping. An old woman named Maria stood in one of the underground city's central squares, tears streaming down her weathered face. Around her, thousands of others stood in silence. He understands, Maria whispered. Finally, someone understands. On the view screens above them, Zekthor was still speaking. I propose that we do what we should have done 300 years ago. I propose we welcome humanity to the Galactic Council, not as a threat to be managed, but as the equals they deserve to be. Seconded, said Elder Kesmora, appearing via hologram from Selkath Prime. The Selkath Federation supports humanity's petition for council membership. We also formally request that the Krellian Empire be sanctioned for their unprovoked attack on a diplomatic mission. More voices joined in. The smaller species, the ones who had always been afraid of the Krellian Empire's military might, suddenly found courage. The humans had shown that the Krellians weren't invincible, that bullies could be stopped. Commander Vexala watched her support crumbling. In desperation, she played her final card. "You're all fools," she shouted. "The humans are manipulating you. They're not victims, they're predators. Look at their world. Earth has apex predators that hunt in packs. Species that chase prey for days without stopping. They evolved to kill. And now you want to give them a seat at the council? They'll take over. Enough." The word cut through the chaos like a blade. Everyone turned to see Archon Velmar standing, its crystalline body pulsing with authority. "Commander Vexala, you are hereby removed from your position," Velmar said. "The Krellian Empire will face sanctions. Your military actions are under investigation. Guards, escort her out." As Vexala was led away, still shouting protests, Velmar turned to address the full council. 300 years ago, this council made a decision based on fear. We looked at humanity and saw only danger. We forgot that every species in this chamber evolved as predators. The Krellians hunted in volcanic mountains. The Vaxians dissolved prey with acid. The Selkath were ambush hunters in deep oceans. We all have violence in our past. The Archon's light grew brighter, but we also all chose civilization. We chose cooperation over conflict, law over chaos. And the humans have shown that they want the same thing. They came here not with threats, but with a petition. They defended themselves when attacked, yes, but they didn't retaliate beyond what was necessary. Velmar turned toward the viewing screens as if looking directly at the human fleet. "Admiral Chen, if you're listening, and I know you are, I extend an official apology on behalf of the Galactic Council. What was done to your species was wrong, inexcusable. And if you still wish to join us, we would be honored to have you." On the Indomitable, Sarah Chen watched the broadcast with her senior staff. The bridge was silent. People were crying openly. 300 years of fear, anger, and hurt were finally being acknowledged. "What do we do, Mom?" Commander Jackson asked quietly. Sarah took a deep breath. "We accept, but on our terms. We're not joining as junior members to be pushed around. We're joining as equals." She opened a communication channel. "Archon Velmar, I accept your apology and your invitation. But there are conditions. The entire galaxy held its breath. First," Sarah said, "full disclosure. Every species gets to know what happened 300 years ago. The real story. No more secrets. No more lies." "Agreed," Velmar said immediately. "Second, reparations. Not money, we don't need your currency, but resources. Technology, help rebuilding the parts of Earth that were destroyed. Help bringing my people back to the surface after 3 centuries underground." Also agreed. Third, and most important, a new law, a universal law that applies to every council species, including humanity. No species can ever be targeted for extermination again, no matter how different they are, no matter how dangerous they seem. We settled disputes with words, not weapons. The chamber was silent. Then one by one, delegates began to signal their approval. Even species that had been enemies for centuries agreed, because they all understood if it could happen to humanity, it could happen to anyone. "Passed unanimously," Velmar declared. "Welcome to the Galactic Council, Admiral Chen. Welcome home." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, she was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in weeks. "Attention all Terran Defense Fleet vessels," she broadcast on all human channels. "Stand down to peacetime protocols. Begin preparations to return home. It's over. We won." Across the human fleet, cheers erupted. Crews hugged each other. Some ships fired their weapons into empty space in celebration, not in anger, but in joy. On Earth, in every underground city, in every hidden bunker, people celebrated. Old veterans threw their medals in the air. Young children asked their parents what the sun looked like. Artists began planning monuments. Musicians composed symphonies. The age of hiding was over, but not everyone was celebrating. In a dark corner of the galaxy, on a forgotten station in lawless space, a meeting was taking place. The attendees wore masks and used voice scramblers. They represented species who had supported the original attack on Earth. Species who had built their power on the backs of weaker civilizations. "The humans have allies now," one said. They've exposed our methods, our secrets. They've made the Council weak. We should have sent more ships 300 years ago, another growled. Then we send more now, a third suggested. Not Council ships. Private contractors, pirates, mercenaries. Make it look like random attacks. Bleed them slowly. Make them paranoid. Make the Council regret accepting them. The masked figures agreed. They began planning, plotting, preparing. Because while humanity had won the battle for acceptance, the war for survival was far from over. Some predators, when wounded, become more dangerous, and the galaxy had many predators who didn't like that humanity had bared its teeth. The real test was just beginning. The Predator walks in Light 6. Months after humanity's admission to the Galactic Council, the first human families began emerging from underground. The construction crews had worked around the clock, rebuilding cities under open sky, installing radiation shields, creating parks and green spaces where children could play without fear. Sarah. Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly built Council embassy on Earth, the first alien structure on the planet's surface. Through the window, she watched human children playing in a park, their laughter carried on the wind. Many of them had never seen the sun before. They squinted and laughed and cried all at once. "It's beautiful," said Ambassador Zekthor standing beside her. He'd requested to be the first official Council ambassador to Earth, a gesture of apology and friendship. "It's what we should have had all along," Sarah replied quietly. Behind them, the embassy buzzed with activity. Alien diplomats from a dozen species worked alongside humans, drafting trade agreements and cultural exchange programs. The Selkath had sent water purification technology. The Vaxians offered medical advances. Even some Krellians, the ones who had opposed Vexala, came with agricultural techniques. But not everything was peaceful. Lieutenant Kim rushed onto the observation deck, her face pale. "Admiral, we have a situation. The colony ship New Dawn was attacked en route to Proxima Station. Pirates. They disabled the engines and boarded." Sarah's expression hardened instantly. "Casualties? 12 dead, 30 wounded. The pirates took hostages, mostly children, and are demanding we withdraw from Council space." "These aren't random pirates," Zekthor said grimly. "This is coordinated. Someone is trying to make humanity seem too dangerous to integrate." Sarah nodded. She'd been expecting this. The galaxy had accepted humanity officially, but not everyone was happy about it. There were factions, old military commanders, species who profited from the old order, criminals who thrived in chaos, who wanted humanity gone. "Where's the New Dawn now?" "Dead in space near the Corvin Belt. The pirates are using an old Krellian destroyer. They're heavily armed." Sarah turned to Zekthor. "Ambassador, I need to handle this, but I want you to observe. I want the Council to see exactly how humans deal with threats to our people." "What are you planning?" Sarah's smile was cold. "A demonstration. Kim, get me Captain Okoye of the Shadow Hunter." The view screen flickered to life, showing a woman with sharp eyes and scars across her dark skin. Captain Adana Okoye commanded humanity's first stealth assault ship, a vessel so advanced that even other human ships couldn't detect it. "Admiral," Okoye said crisply, "I've been tracking the pirate chatter. They're overconfident, think they've got leverage. They don't know humans very well, do they?" Sarah said. "Okoye, I'm authorizing Operation Rescue. Show them why predators don't take human cubs." Okoye's grin was fierce. "With pleasure, ma'am." The pirate leader, a four-armed Kralix named Vorg, lounged in the captain's chair of his stolen destroyer. Around him, human hostages huddled in terror, 20 children from the colony ship, some as young as 5 years old. "Send another message to the humans," Vorg ordered. "Tell them if they don't withdraw from Council space within 3 hours, we start spacing the brats." "On every 10 minutes, his crew laughed. They'd pulled jobs like this before on other species. The targets always paid, always negotiated, always gave in to save their young. Humans would be no different. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I'm picking up strange readings like echoes, but nothing's there." "Probably just interference from the asteroid belt," Vorg dismissed. "Focus on." The lights went out. Emergency backup lights flickered on, bathing everything in red. Alarms blared. What's happening? Vorg roared. I don't know. All systems are being hacked. I can't. The airlock exploded inward. Through the smoke and debris, figures moved. Fast, precise, deadly. Human special forces. They wore black armor that seemed to absorb light. Their helmets displayed targeting data that made them look like demons. And they moved like nothing Vorg had ever seen. Like they could predict every move his crew would make. The battle lasted 47 seconds. 20 pirates tried to fight. 20 pirates died. Vorg himself took a non-lethal round to the shoulder and collapsed, his weapon clattering away. The lead human soldier, Captain Okoye, stood over him. Her voice was calm, almost conversational. You made a mistake. You took human children. We didn't know. Vorg gasped. We didn't know you'd come. You're supposed to negotiate. That's what civilized species do. Okoye tilted her head. You're right. Civilized species negotiate. But you forgot something important about humans. We're only civilized when our children are safe. When you threaten our young. She leaned closer, and Vorg could see his own terrified reflection in her helmet's visor. We become what you fear most. We become the predators from the old stories. The ones who hunt you in the dark. The ones who never stop. The ones who will cross a galaxy to find you. Around them, the human children were being carried to safety by other soldiers. One little girl, no more than 6, paused to look at Vorg. She wasn't crying. She was smiling. You're in so much trouble, she said cheerfully. Nobody messes with humans. The rescue footage went viral across the galaxy. Every screen, every news channel, every social media platform showed the same thing. Human soldiers moving through the pirate ship like ghosts, eliminating threats with surgical precision, recovering every single hostage alive. But it was Okoye's words that echoed everywhere. We're only civilized when our children are safe. In the council chambers, delegates watched the footage in silence. Some were impressed. Some were terrified. All were thoughtful. This is why I opposed humanity's admission, said Senator Crexon quietly. Not because they're dangerous to us, but because they're dangerous to anyone who threatens what they love. Is that not true of all species? Elder Kesmora asked. Would you not do the same for your young? Perhaps, but I couldn't do it so effectively. Archon Velmar stood. What we have witnessed is not barbarism. It is justice, swift, precise, proportional. The humans killed only those who posed a threat. They spared the pirate leader to face trial. They protected the innocent. This is exactly the kind of strength the Council needs. But in the shadows, in encrypted communications, the masked figures who had funded the pirate attack were regrouping. The humans are too effective, one said. Direct attacks won't work. We need a different approach. What do you suggest? We turn the Council against them. Make them seem like the aggressors. Plant evidence. Frame them for crimes. Make other species fear them again. And if that fails? A long pause. Then we find Earth, and we finish what the First Fleet started. But this time we make sure there are no survivors. Back on Earth, Sarah stood in her grandmother's old apartment. The building had been restored, the radiation cleaned away. Through the window, she could see the rebuilt city, towers of glass and steel reaching toward the sky. Ships coming and going from the spaceport, aliens walking alongside humans in the streets. Her grandmother's ashes sat in an urn on the mantel. Sarah picked it up gently. We did it, Grandma, she whispered. We're not hiding anymore. We're not myths. We're real. We're free. A knock at the door. Commander Jackson entered, looking troubled. Admiral, intelligence has picked up chatter. Someone's planning something big. Another attack, but more sophisticated than pirates. We think it's the old guard, species who can't accept the new order. Sarah set down the urn carefully. Let them come. Every time they attack us, they prove why we needed those 100,000 ships. Every time they try to intimidate us, they show the rest of the Council who the real bullies are. And if they succeed, if they actually hurt us, Sarah's eyes were hard, then they'll learn the final lesson about humanity. We're not just survivors. We're not just warriors. We're a species that remembers every slight, every wound, every attack. And we have 300 years of payback stored up. She walked to the window, looking out at the city, at the humans and aliens working together, at the children playing, at the future they'd fought so hard to reach. But I don't think it will come to that, she continued, her voice softening. Because for every enemy we've made 10 friends. The Selkath, the reformed Krellians, the smaller species who were tired of being pushed around. We showed them that you don't have to be the biggest or the strongest to stand up for what's right. You just have to refuse to give up. Jackson smiled. That's very inspirational, ma'am. It's the truth, and truth is what's going to save us. Not weapons, not threats. Just the simple truth that humans are survivors, and we're willing to help others survive too. A message came through on Jackson's datapad. He read it and laughed. Ma'am, you need to see this. The Vaxian Federation just proposed a joint military exercise with the Terran Defense Fleet. They want to learn our tactics. Accepted, Sarah said immediately, and send a message to the Council. Humanity is offering free training programs in survival skills, crisis response, and defensive strategies to any species that wants it. We learned how to survive a death world. Time to share that knowledge. That's actually brilliant, Jackson said. You're turning our greatest strength, our ability to survive anything, into a diplomatic tool. We're pack hunters, Jackson. We thrive when we work together. Time to build the biggest pack the galaxy has ever seen. 1 year later, the Galactic Council had transformed. Human advisors worked in almost every department. Terran survival training became mandatory for all Council military forces. Human doctors shared techniques for treating injuries that would have been fatal before. Human engineers redesigned ship safety systems. The species who had plotted against humanity found themselves increasingly isolated. Their attacks failed. Their frames were discovered. Their lies were exposed. One by one, they slunk back into the shadows or were brought to justice. Commander Vex Ala, serving her sentence in a rehabilitation facility, watched the news with bitter resignation. Humans were everywhere now, not conquering, not dominating, just integrating, being useful, being friends. She'd been wrong about them. They weren't monsters. They were just people who had been hurt and had learned to be strong. On Earth, the last underground city was officially closed. Every human now lived under open sky. Children who had never seen stars could now sleep under them. Artists painted landscapes they'd only dreamed of. Musicians composed symphonies inspired by birdsong they'd never heard before. And in the council chambers, Admiral Sarah Chen gave her first speech as Earth's official representative. For 300 years, my people lived as myths, as ghosts, as warnings whispered in the dark. But we were always real. We were always here. We were always watching and waiting and hoping that someday we could walk in the light again. Today, we do more than walk. We run, we fly. We reach for the stars not as conquerors but as partners. We offer our strength not to dominate but to protect. We share our knowledge not to control but to help, because that's what humans do. We survive, we adapt, we overcome. And when we find others who need help surviving, we reach out our hands and pull them up beside us. This is the truth about humanity that the old stories got wrong. We're not dangerous because we're predators. We're powerful because we're caregivers. We protect our pack, and now the galaxy is our pack. So to those who still fear us, I say this. You're right to respect our strength, but you're wrong to fear our intentions. We don't want war. We want family, and family looks out for each other. Welcome to the pack. Welcome to humanity's promise. We will never let you fall. We will never leave you behind. We will never give up on you, because that's what survivors do. We survive together, or not at all. The speech was broadcast across every council world, and in 1,000 languages in 1,000 ways, the response was the same. Welcome. Welcome home. Welcome to the light. Humanity had spent 3 centuries as myths. Now they would spend forever as legends, not of fear, but of hope. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy was better for it. The end in the depths of space, the human warships still patrolled, still watched, still protected, because some lessons are never forgotten, some scars never truly heal. But the humans had learned something their enemies never understood. The best revenge is not destruction. It's survival. It's thriving. It's proving that you can be hurt but never broken, attacked but never defeated, hidden but never forgotten. They called humans myths. And myths, as every child knows, never truly die. They just wait for the right moment to become real.